What's going on, everyone? So, the last time we won an NBA championship was with the 2020 team, and that team was so much fun to watch. They were so talented, so just the chemistry was bar none, right? I mean, they were laughing and joking and dancing on the bench and, having like movie nights, and they just felt like a family, right? And like D'Angelo Russell talked about, like, hey, I want to get back to like having fun, And a lot of people are kind of like, hey, it's about winning, it's about, and absolutely, but you can do both, right? Like the Lakers, they were having fun, they were goofing, they were laughing, they were having a great time, but they were winning, right? And if you're not winning, that fun stops very quickly, right? Like the Russell Westbrook, where he's, everyone talk about, let's get greedy, right? And then Russ is like, no, let's have fun. And it's like, dude, we are like 2-10 and trying to right the ship here. It's not time for fun. Like losing this badly is not fun, right? But this year, you look at the Lakers roster and you're like, this is a very comparable roster to the 2020 team. This is a roster that feels like they're going to be one of, if not the best teams in the league. This feels like outside of injury, this Lakers team could very well be hoisting those trophies once again, just like in 2020, right? Can LeBron James stay LeBron? Anthony Davis, can he stay Anthony Davis? This roster is, in my opinion, deeper overall front to back than that 2020 roster. They're bigger. They have the size. They have everything that you could ask for this current Lakers roster. And the real question is just the chemistry. Can they develop that chemistry and those relationships like the 2020 roster had? And if they can, the Lakers are going to be very good, right? Lakers were top offense, top defense, number one in the West, absolutely dominating. Before they went into the bubble, they had beaten like the top three teams in the league next to them and had all this momentum. Things were looking great, and then obviously everything shuts down, and then they have the bubble, and then the Lakers would end up winning the NBA championship. And people try to like discredit or clown on it. Like if their team won, they would be talking about how it's the greatest championship in the history. But because it's the Lakers, people like to talk. It's casual talk or it's just pure hate. Every team in there had the exact same advantage, had the exact same situation, all dealt with it. If anything, the bubble championship was the hardest there was. And all of the players that were a part of that all said the exact same thing. How tough it was, how mentally draining it was, how challenging it was, not having the fans, not being able to see your family, not being able to like do anything, go anywhere. Like it was mentally draining. Lakers were able, because of that chemistry, because of those relationships, because of everything, they were able to overcome that. And my hope is that this year's roster can do that. Rob Pelinka righted the ship, right? You had this team, and then they upgraded the team, which we'll touch on here in a moment. And then you have the Russell Westbrook trade, which Rob Pelinka didn't want to do. He was trying to go trade for Buddy Hield. That was already done in the works. DeMar DeRozan said he thought he was going to Lakers, that was a done deal. But Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis had that meeting, and they said, hey, we want to team up, go trade, go make it happen. Jeannie said, go do it, and Rob Pelinka made it happen. And it was a disaster. It was rough. And then last year, we were able to right the ship. Rob Pelinka went and pulled off a trade that nobody thought was going to happen and ended up making the Western Conference Finals. But this is the Lakers. When getting to the Western Conference Finals is not NBA championships. We're not like other organizations where, just getting to the conference finals isn't enough. Like I take the win considering the start and the way last season was going and just the disaster that it was. The fact that we made the Western Conference Finals, I believe was a win. But the Lakers standard, that's not good enough. And now Rob Pelinka has really rounded out this roster beautifully. But you look at that 2021 team, and it's just, there's a lot of talk of like, was LeBron's time here successful, right? Like, because would we have won last year if LeBron was healthy, right? LeBron's been injured pretty much every year since he's been on the Lakers, right? Anthony Davis in a lot of ways. Although last year Anthony Davis was able to prove that he could stay through it. And it was like, well, you know, the fact that they didn't win championships or more championships yet, again, they could win this year, but the fact that they haven't won more NBA championships, it's got to be tough. But they have been, and I even did a whole video on this, they've been in the same like standard as all the teams, right? It's not like there's a team that's far and away just running through everything, right? You had the Warriors who repeated. Since then, no one else has. It's been Toronto, right? It's been the Lakers. It's been the Bucks. It's been the Warriors. And then it's been the Denver Nuggets, right? And the 2021 roster is that roster. I've talked about this before. That should have won an NBA. If it wasn't for injuries, we would have repeated. We were up 2-1 against the Phoenix Suns. Looked like we were about to go up 3-1. The Lakers were absolutely dominant. And Anthony Davis ends up going down. LeBron was already on one leg. Dennis Schroeder got COVID earlier and was never the same when he came back. For whatever reason, there was all the talks like, is it the respiratory? Like, what's going on? Because he was just not the same guy. And they just weren't in a position to end up winning. They end up losing to Phoenix, and AD going down just really hurt that team. Otherwise, I firmly believe that they would have won again. I think they matched up beautifully against Milwaukee, and I really think that you would have had, if Anthony Davis was healthy, LeBron James, I think, would have turned that gear for the championship, and I think that they would have won. And all the stats and everything about that line up, right? I've talked about it, but I saw this little, this little post, and, they started 21-6 before AD got injured, 64 win pace. This was during the course of the season, because remember, the Lakers were really riddled with injuries all year that year. Number one defensive rating without LeBron and AD, 7-0 start on the road, and one of the most well-rounded teams we have ever seen. And that is spot on. They were very good, very deep, very talented, number one in the league. And the three-man unit of Dennis Schroeder, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis were a plus 15.5. That was by far the best three-man unit in the entire league. But injuries just plagued this roster. Everybody was injured that year on this roster. And it made things very difficult. And then they got into the playoffs and it just became a mess. And I remember when they put together this roster, I was so pumped, right? You win the NBA championship. Rob Pelinka easily could have just brought everybody back and just said, hey, we won. But no, he upgraded, right? Oh my God, the Lakers just got the 2 6-men of the year and Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell. Oh, they went and just signed Marc Gasol, right? Like, after coming off of a championship with Toronto, like, it was just, and they were able to keep the core guys. They were able to keep Caruso, Kuzma, Markieff Morris was on for another year, right? And then later on, they go get Andre Drummond, right? And you're talking 2010 Andre Drummond, right? Like, that was ridiculous. And they could not stay healthy. They could not figure it out. Marc Gasol wasn't the guy that he was, even just the previous year. He struggled. I mean, he had some great moments for the Lakers, but for the most part, he had that decline, right? And then they end up basically just giving Marc Gasol away, and they were never able to right the ship. But you look at this roster, and it's just like, this roster has the look, the feel, the depth, the size, the talent. It has literally everything that you could ask for to win an NBA championship, right? Like, the Lakers were 26th in 3-point percentage when they won the championship in 2020. I actually think the Lakers might be at least middle of the pack with this roster. They have more size, they have more versatility, right? They didn't have a guy like Austin Reeves, who has just emerged into this like legit all-around guy. They didn't have that guy like D'Lo, who was like a legit 3-level scorer, right? You got Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura. But like, you look at this roster, and it's like, you have Austin Reeves 40+%. D'Lo shot 42% last year. Max Christie even shot 42%, although it was like a smaller sample size, but he's expected to have a bigger role. Rui Hachimura was like 55% in the playoffs after he fixed his little hitch in his shot, right? I don't expect that, but can he be 37, 38%? You got Taurean Prince, who's anywhere from 38 to 40%. Gabe Vincent, as we've seen, it can be a 38 to 40% three-point shooter. He struggled last year during the regular season, but a couple things. One, he got right back to the three-point shooter we know he can be in the playoffs. And two, he didn't play on a team with LeBron James, Austin Reeves, D'Lo, Anthony Davis, guys that can basically create for him to where he could play off the ball and just get these wide open shots and looks, right? I mean, Cam Reddish, can he improve as a three-point shooter? Jared Vanderbilt, all he's been doing is shooting threes. I don't see LeBron being as bad from three as he was last year. I mean, he's never been like a great three-point shooter, but he's been at least 36%. Like, can he just get back to that? Like, you look at this roster and it's like, man, this roster might be a 37% three-point shooting team, which would put them essentially middle, depending on where they're at in the 37s, could put them in like the top 10, top 5, top 10, right? But I think that this could be a very like middle of the pack team. I think they're going to be number one in defense. I wouldn't even be shocked if they're number one in offense. I think they'll probably be top 5 in offense. But they were 7th in offense last year, averaged 116 points per game. Sacramento was number 1, and they averaged 120 points per game. You don't think that this Lakers roster, with a full season of Austin Reeves' emergence, D'Angelo Russell, all of the new guys, Rui Hachimura for a full season, you don't think that they can't average an extra 4 points and get to like 120 a game and be the number 1 defense? I absolutely think they can. Which means you may be looking at the only team in the league that is top 5 offense, top 5 defense. Last year, the Celtics were the only team in the league, top 5 offense, top 5 defense. The reason I don't think that they'll be there this year is because they got rid of Marcus Smart, and I really do believe that he was that defensive anchor and leader for that team. And I think that's going to hurt them badly. I don't think they're going to be bad defensively, and maybe they will. Maybe they'll still be top 5 defense. But even then, like, I really do believe Lakers will be top 5 defense, top 5 offense, right? Like, at worst, they'll be top 3 defense and a top 5 offense. The Lakers are in the best position they have been in since that 2021 season, right? You look at the 2021 roster and you look at this roster, I mean, I think it's very comparable. Again, injuries, health. Can they stay healthy? With this depth, with this talent, I expect everyone's minutes to be low, right? Like, I want to see LeBron and AD at like 30 minutes a game, right? And I've seen a lot of people say, no way LeBron would be willing to do that. LeBron's played the fewest minutes of his career since he's came to the Lakers. Outside of the year that the Lakers got Russell Westbrook and they were just terrible, not last year, but the previous year, LeBron played like 36 minutes a game that year. And it's because he had to, right? But outside of that, he's only averaged like 32, 33 minutes a game for the Lakers since he's came to the Lakers. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that year 21, are going to be age 39, he's okay with sitting an extra 2 minutes. Now, I think if they need him, right, like if LeBron's at, 29 minutes and there's still 4 minutes left in the game and it's a tight game, I don't think that they're going to be like, well, LeBron, we're only going to play you for another minute. No, I don't think it's going to be like that. But I do think that LeBron kind of picks and chooses, kind of coasts in a lot of ways this year. I would be surprised if he's a 38-8 guy again this year. I'm not saying that he's going to be bad or anything like that. I just think he's not going to have to be. Like last year, he had to be just to keep us in games, right? This year, I don't think he will be. I think he'll probably be closer to like 23 to 25. And then 8-8 or like 7-7 or something like that. I think the assists and rebounds will still be there, but I think the points, because I don't think he's going to take as many attempts, I think that'll drop. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What do you think?